We've got one customer.
Hello, Freda Wallace.
Hello, Victoria Hodges. Welcome to Gender Nebulous 26.
26. I know it's difficult to try and remember what number. We do so many. Yeah, it's 26. It's 26.
Welcome. And today I think we're going to talk about outrage, media outrage, anything, the way that things are playing out in the press when they try to do fake outrage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was going to say, don't say any dirty words, but we're live.
We are live, so you got to keep it clean.
Yeah. Anyway, we came up with this topic, didn't we? Because we were talking about Sam Smith.
We were talking about Sam Smith, yes.
And I love Sam Smith, and I think the reason Sam Smith is out getting this heat, right, is because it's not.
And they have been getting a lot of heat this week, really.
Yeah, well, it's not. It's just people love it, don't they? They pretend to be outraged, but they're actually really enjoying
There's been at least 3 or 4 stories in major media outlets around Sam Smith. Not so much about Kim Petras, but Sam Smith's been getting a lot of heat. Yeah.
Well, this song isn't with Kim Petras, but
No.
Sam Smith has worked with Kim Petras. But this plays into what I was going to say, because I think the real reason Sam Smith is getting this is because he doesn't fit. He's gender incongruous to people. It's like Kim Petras is trans, but she's heteronormative, so she's not challenging that beauty stereotype. She's not beauty, and
So
she's not.
we need to be careful because Sam goes by pronouns they, them.
Oh yeah. So I was going to say,
not he, them.
I am gonna slip up massively.
Try not to slip up
and call Sam Smith the wrong pronoun. So don't shoot me. It's
Okay.
just
Yeah.
I've not talked about Sam Smith enough to correct myself, but that Sam Smith. I'm just gonna
Sam.
just say Sam.
Just say Sam.
Lovely big Sam. And this is the thing, because Sam isn't bothered. It doesn't seem bothered about this beauty standard that most pop stars, whether through pressure or through design, go along with. So he looks jarring to a lot of people. It's like, what, because I've seen the kind of gay men on Twitter that are like, gay not queer. I'm a gay man, I'm not queer man. Like, whatever. They don't like it because this beauty, Sam Smith, just by being himself. If you strip away all the other stuff, the wee, the outfits with the bums hanging out.
It wasn't wee. It was champagne.
Well, they think it's wee, so I'm gonna use that.
I'm going with champagne because at the end of that scene where you've got the champagne shower, let's call it, Sam Smith was sat on some kind of podium in this amazing golden suit, and I think that was a subtle kind of play on words in a way.
Yeah, pop music for a long time plays into fetish imagery. It's nothing new, is it? You know what I mean?
If you go back in time to other artists, I mean, where did this really start? Was it? I mean, it was probably Elvis, right? With the Elvis the Pelvis.
Wait, no, it goes way
or
before.
Even further back.
Well, Elvis, yeah. I'd say Elvis because when he's gyrating in skin-tight leather.
That was a major outrage at the time, wasn't it?
When the white middle classes saw their daughters were getting all horny over it, that's when it was a problem. But it was actually Little Richard that it kind of... Well, not... I mean, there was a group of artists, and Little Richard is probably the best known of them, where Elvis... He was tapping into that sexual energy, but Little Richard... is a gay icon. You know, he was able to push that because it wasn't like he was gonna lose anything by doing that. He knew he had that freedom to do that because he wasn't gonna be. He sort of resigned himself because of his ethnicity that he wasn't gonna be. You know, he eventually was, but it was like he give himself into absolute creative freedom there, and then obviously when it was Elvis picked up on it. But there are a lot of artists like that, and all the way through pop music, you see this thing about trying to reinvent that shock value of the sexual image. But like Sam Smith, I think the whole controversy is about him not fitting the beauty standard. It's not about the sex because we've
Well,
already seen that.
When Sam was first kind of became prominent, they were very skinny compared to how they are now.
Oh
So
yeah.
Sam's put quite a bit of weight on. I think Sam is happier now, and you can see that the more
Well, that's
themselves.
it.
You know what I mean?
That's another thing that
I
pisses
think
them
that
off
was I think that
because
was
it's
some
like,
kind of suppression by the industry to make them appear acceptable because they were wearing
mm,
completely different clothing, like sensible, almost blokey clothing, and
yeah,
they were skinny and they were made to kind of conform to the image that I think that the label wanted to
mm,
portray at that time. But if you look at Sam now, it's
mm.
like it's day and night
Well, there's a long
difference.
tradition. You see, the the thing with that is like we live in a world now. Like I know very few people that have listened to that song all the way through. I know very few people that have watched that video all the way through. But they'll have seen the TikTok, they'll have seen the Instagram, they'll have seen the Twitter
Yeah, it's
thing.
all over.
So, and that's what it's about now. So, where artists, where kind of record labels might have said, "Ah, no, don't do that because it'll affect sales." It doesn't matter anymore because it's not the thing. It's not about sales. It's about hits. It's about retweets. It's about uh, video cycle. So the more controversial it could be, the more of a algorithmic ripple it makes, that's better for them. So now you're seeing it sort of ramping up that way, but it's like another thing about Sam Smith, he really owns it, you know.
Yeah.
It's like if I felt for 1 minute that Sam Smith was being exploited or somebody like Kim Petras or anyone really, that's when it disturbs me. It's not when it's sexual. It's like pornography. The thing that bothers me is that if somebody's being exploited, now you can tell sometimes. Like I sometimes think about Britney's early career, and I think, gosh, mate, and Christina Aguilera and the people that came out of that, and we know there are backstories there. We know there are abuses that went on, and you think, gosh, that they were exploited, and
But
and
I
it's
mean,
great when,
is this part of a kind of the life cycle of a a music star? Do they at the beginning of their careers? This is probably more likely to happen, isn't it?
mm,
Because
yeah,
you're new to the industry. You're trying to get your I don't know. You're trying to get your
maybe,
kind of popularity up. So maybe you're more inclined to
mm,
kind of just go along with what you're told to do. Because if you don't, you're not going to get your contract, or you're not going to get those deals. But when you're
yeah.
more
Well, there
established,
are so,
maybe you have more control over what you do. I think that plays into
yeah.
it.
Well, I think it depends on the artist, doesn't it? Because different artists appeals to different demographics. Now,
Yeah,
Sam Smith's definitely appealing to a queer audience there, but the whole world is queer, really. That's why it works. It's like you're not going to see, let me think of someone, Michael Bublé,
but Michael
doing
Bublé
anything
is
trans.
the straight guy, isn't he? He's like
Yeah, but
Mr.
that's what I mean.
Sensible,
So
appeals to
it's
all the
so
Christmas
so
crowd and all
it
that kind of
it
stuff.
would actually be viscerally shocking
I'm just
if
opening a
somebody like
bottle of
be careful with that.
Bucks Fizz, if you were wondering.
I was gonna say, shoot it this way.
This is not a Sam Smith video, by the way.
Get it in my mouth. So I was gonna say, if anybody in the chat can think of any outrageous moments in pop
Ooh.
that we might have forgot. Oh, but that was rubbish, that Vicky. I didn't even hear it pop. That was an anti-climax.
don't want to make a hole
Orgasm
in the ceiling,
denied.
did I? You know.
Orgasm denied.
Sorry. You can hear the glugging. Can you hear the glugging? Glug, 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 glug,
Yeah,
glug.
you got the wrong glass there, babe.
Well, you know, one does
Well,
one has to.
well, anyway, what was I saying? I forgot.
Don't know, no idea. I
Oh,
was opening my bottle.
you I was
Cheers,
gonna
by the
say,
way.
if I was gonna do a video, like you see, the thing is, I'm so hot that the wee would just turn to steam straight away. So
That
that's the
reminds
problem
me
with
of a
that.
program I was watching on TV last night about volcanoes. There was there was this show. I'm not sure if it was like a pre-recorded thing or I was on catch up or something. I don't remember, but it was about volcanoes and yeah, water turning to instant steam and killing people. So what you're saying is that's what happens when you walk into a room.
I know, I'm
Bit of
not
a
saying
strange
that.
link there. Sorry,
Obviously,
but yeah,
I'm volcanic. Is that what you're saying? But I think
toxic maybe. Toxic. How about that?
what a pop star's gonna have to do now to get more and more like say there's a level of shock value
Yeah, where do you go next
that
after that?
link. Yeah, what so we're gonna see. Can I say it?
Let's just recap on some of the other pop stars that have done this kind of thing. I mean, Madonna, she's famous for this.
Well, Josh just mentioned "Justify My Love," which
Yeah, yeah,
do you know at the time when you look at it now, it's so tame and tasteful,
it
isn't
is.
it?
You look back now with those early Madonna; those are really tame.
Because it kind of where there is a suggestion of an erection or it goes out of focus. But the interesting thing about that, like the actual actors in that video came out of a really queer scene. That was like Bruce LaBruce. And Bruce LaBruce really, I mean, if you're aware of the work of Bruce LaBruce,
I'm not
you
actually.
know,
Go on.
he's what you call an art pornographer. And a lot of the imagery in music video, I mean, we're talking some deep stuff now. If you want to Google it, I be careful.
I'm just going to share some of the chats that are coming, some of the comments that are coming through. So hang on, keep talking, keep talking.
So yeah, Bruce. I mean, a lot of that imagery is codified through a queer culture. It's you could say Madonna's Vogue is the same. I mean, it's not so overtly sexual, but a lot of pop music, even if you go back to Little Richard, is borrowing from what is queer, gay, transgressive culture. So it's not fucking new, is it? So
No,
when you see
absolutely not.
I've heard people talk about Frankie Goes to Hollywood, because of the implied golden shower, but that even that is not in isolation. Frankie Goes to Hollywood really. But even if you look at something you would consider really mainstream, like Queen, I can't remember it now. There was a song by Queen, and it's really not. It's really dirty. Honestly, it's like I was like when I saw because I saw it recently. I said, I mean,
you're on chat duty. Do you want to read out some of those?
um, straight out of Croydon. I'm just reading. I'm just seeing Critical Cupcake. And Victoria's commenting. Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Yeah, they mentioned. Um, and Roger's here.
Sneaks
But
in
not
late.
really. I'm still appealing to the chat for more controversial pop stars.
Yeah,
But what I was saying about Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Freddie Mercury, that whole thing. But the thing is, they do it and they own that sexuality. That's the difference. It's only disturbing to me if I feel like somebody's being exploited, and I feel the same way
I
about
think
anything.
that's a really
I feel,
important point, isn't it? If the
but I,
artist is doing it and they're totally in control of what they're doing and what's going on, and it's something that they, I guess they're in charge of. I mean, yeah, that it's fine. Doesn't matter what you
yeah,
do. But if you're in
yeah.
a situation where you're being exploited or forced to do it because the label wants you to, well, yeah,
I
that's a
think
huge problem.
I think we're like in a really golden age of pop music
Yeah.
because when I was younger, I was quite
Well, it's instantly available
passionate.
these days, isn't it? It's like
I, I was into
it's probably out
metal.
on Twitter before it's even out.
I used to be into metal, and I used to be into some quite dark goth music, and which I still love. But it's like as I've got older, I've learned to appreciate pop music more because actually within pop music, within the visual vocabulary of pop music, you do get more exciting stuff, you know. I mean, and recently there's been some really good. I was talking about Kim Petras, like as being heteronormative, and she kind of gets away with, but her songs are really daft, aren't they? And I think daftness is something to be embraced. Like if you're gonna sing a song called My Coconuts, you know, you've got to really lean into that, you know, the silliness of it and
I think
slut pop.
Durham Red's comment is quite amusing. Nothing will top Dana International riding a giant banana, Eurovision.
Yeah,
Terry
was
Wogan, who couldn't even comprehend the sight of a trans person, was never the same after that.
good.
Oh dear.
You see, I was going to say, you know, about when I was into metal, and it was always this thing in metal where bands were shocking. You know, they talked about really heavy subjects, and it was all very, you know, it's supposed to be horrific, but it wasn't really. It was dead tame. Like when you listen to like Black Sabbath now, I mean, that music's still amazing, and Ozzy to me is still amazing. But when you listen to the lyrics, it's like Satan's coming round the bend.
But the shock value's not there these days, is it? It's just not there.
Like he's not even attacking you; he's just coming round the bend.
So here's a thought experiment. Then, if you take that Sam Smith latest video, and you were to change the person to, let's say, Kim Petras, okay, would there be a different reaction? Because it's it's a trans woman versus Sam Smith, non-binary. How would the media handle that situation?
So you're saying if you replace Sam Smith with
everything else in the video is the same, you just change the main singer from Sam Smith to Kim Petras.
Yeah,
there'd be a totally different reaction to it because one's a trans woman, the other is non-binary.
It's not just that. Is that there's already a media appetite to pour derision on Sam Smith because he's non-binary.
But is that because people knew Sam as he before, and there's something kind of wrong?
No, but
it's worse. No, but it's in a way to be non-binary from a male point of view. Is this what is that dynamic there?
It's not even that. It's like these perpetual bores like Piers Morgan who are like, oh, I can't think about this. It's too much to think about. I can't call somebody they. You've been calling people they all your life. It's just because somebody's put it on the table in front of you.
But I bet you Piers Morgan wouldn't be as offended by, Kim Petras doing that video.
Kim Petras. No, he'd fancy her.
Exactly.
He'd be cracking one off. But the thing is, while I would love personally to see Kim Petras getting a load of wee over her.
Champagne.
Yeah, whatever. I don't think
Got to be careful how you say that when you've had a couple of drinks, by the way.
Because there was that controversy about the Brits where they changed the award from a male, so there was best female, best male, and Sam Smith was kind of like heading that campaign to say like we need it non-binary, so there's no best female, there's no best male, there's just the best. Person. So just one person wins the Brits. There's no they, there's no them, there's no he, there's no she, and it's just like there's just one winner, and it's Sam Smith.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not Bucks piss. It's Bucks fizz. I assure you.
That was Sam Smith's plan all along. He doesn't want to be they them. He wants to be singular it and then win everything. That's the ultimate goal in Piers Morgan's mind. I must add, because it's like this. Oh, they're taking over our media. No, oh my God, everything's. It's like the idea that everything's wokery now. They love it. Like, you see, we criticize people like Piers Morgan, but we're playing into their game because they love it. That's what they feed off. Like, people like Jeremy Clarkson and and the people you see on Jeremy Vine. The whole careers are based on being a kind of monolith of outrage. So it's like a brand that they inhabit. So if your brand is being a bit of an arse, the more of a bit of an arse you can be, the more money you'll make. So maybe I should be a bit of an arse. Freda Wallace, bit of an arse.
Bit of a nasty. It kind of fits her, that, Freda.
Freda Wallace, nasty piece of work.
Right,
No,
so you're proposing this so you can actually start charging fees? Is that what you're proposing?
yeah. So I can go on Jeremy Vine and I'll be all mouth and attitude,
Yeah.
and then I'll get booked because they'll be like, oh, it's that Freda again. But then how rewarding is that really? How rewarding is that as a person? Like, I couldn't be that person. I mean, obviously I'm too nice. But if somebody put the money on the table and they say, Freda, if you do it again, that nasty character will pay you 10
you have to read
And then
you have to read the
and it's
latest comment from Joss there.
let me see, Rod Little was like,
It's like Jermaine Greer's pre-transition picture. Oh, God.
Rod Little, the man who famously
hilarious.
said he couldn't be a teacher. He couldn't be a teacher because he's worried about fancying the children. I mean, that's what he wrote. That's not controversial to say. You know, look at Vicky's face. She's like, look,
No
this is
comment.
gonna get sued. Yeah, but that's what he said in the Spectator or something like that. Anyway, so like what let me just go back a bit.
Jeremy Vine, the colour beige in human form.
Rewind. I didn't say that. So yeah, pop stars, rock stars, whatever. We don't really have rock stars now, do we? We used to have rock stars, but then they became rap stars. So the people that used to inhabit that rock star world are now people like,
They're just stars. Now,
Kanye West. But Kanye West has kind of gone off completely off the rails.
He's gone off the rails completely. Yes.
Somebody like Will.i.am, he's probably, but what so if the thing is though,
I mean, those they're not controversial in any way, are they?
no, but they are because you might not think so, but like it wasn't long ago there was an article because Taylor Swift held a pen like this instead of like this, and that was a news article.
It was
because Taylor Swift.
We spoke about that on one of our previous pods.
Taylor Swift decided, I'm not going to write like you guys.
I bet she didn't even think that. She's probably just been doing that forever. It's not deliberate.
Well, Taylor Swift's really interesting, isn't she? Because Taylor Swift is what I would call norm-core. So could you imagine the outrage? This would be real outrage, right? If Taylor Swift did what Sam Smith has done. Because we know that the kind of people Taylor Swift appeals to, the kind of parents of those children that like Taylor Swift, if she started being that kind of fetish, sexual, gender incongruent, maybe non-binary, that would be the end for Taylor. Or she'd have to totally reinvent herself.
You see, what about
that would be the really controversial thing if somebody who like Catherine Jenkins with a butt plug, I don't know, on Songs of Praise.
I need another drink. So what about like people like Boy George? Okay, when Boy George was starting his career, I think his is the correct pronoun.
Boy George has always gone with the,
I mean, that was also considered outrageous at the time, but it was the 80s, so it was kind of more acceptable for some reason. And then we've kind of gone through this period of things were less acceptable, more acceptable. It's like, it kind of ties in to what's going on in the right-wing media for some reason, and religions seem to play into
really
it as well. It's kind of weird how it fluctuates.
I will say about Boy George, the clue is in the name, isn't it? Because he's saying overtly within his name, I am a boy, I am a man. So it's not, there's no second guessing. There's nobody going, oh, is it a lady? Is it? Because I remember when I was quite young, I first saw Boy George, and I remember saying to my mum, is that a lady?
Yeah.
And my mum did. And that was a conversation. but that conversation with my mum sparked
But I
something in
think
me,
wasn't that was
and
the early 80s, wasn't it? I mean, there was a few
it was
stars.
1980.
There was a few
I
stars
mean,
doing that at the same time. There was Boy
I don't
George,
want
and
to
there
give
was
my age.
what was the other act at that time? Who was doing a
There
very
was a
similar
guy.
thing?
Well, there was Marilyn,
Yeah.
but Marilyn has famously come out as gender critical for attention, and had a few spats with Boy George over it. But it's like, okay, I don't get the argument that Marilyn is making. Okay, you don't have to be a woman. Nobody's making you decide that.
And then the other
Just get
thing,
on
like,
with it.
when we went through the punk thing, that was all outrageous at the time, wasn't it? Because it was anti-establishment.
Don't you think it's hilarious that the Sex Pistols caused so much controversy just by saying "dirty rotter" on the, yeah, what was it? He said something. You were an
I mean,
arsehole.
if you brought the Sex
You're,
Pistols, if the
you're a
Sex
dirty
Pistols came
rotter.
out now, what
Yeah.
would the reaction be to them?
Well, I
You know,
tell you what,
it's
the most interesting thing for me about the Sex Pistols was Vivienne Westwood. It was Vivienne Westwood that was the and Malcolm McLaren,
mm,
and because it was the look of it. It looked great and it looked sexy, but it was kind of not sexy, if you know what I mean. It was non-binary before non-binary, because for me, punk is a feminist movement. The best bands from punk were the Slits, Polystyrene. There are others, but like Jane County and the Electric Chairs. It was a queer movement, punk. It didn't call itself that, but I think it was because there was something sexy about it, but it wasn't about having sex. Like, it wasn't rock and roll in the sense that Elvis was about. And then, later rock and roll bands were about sex and they wrote about sex. Punk wrote about politics, but in a sexy way, like what became the Manic Street Preachers. But obviously that was filtered through the Blur era. I don't know where I'm going with
I
this,
don't know
but
where you're going to do
there's some logic to it.
this.
Yeah, but Plankton has said, John Lydon
Plankton.
is doing butter. That's Roger, sorry. Is doing butter, but there's nothing wrong. Like when John Lydon did that, I thought, well, so what? You've got to make your money. You got to make your bread and butter, literally.
There was a really interesting thing I watched on Apple Music, and it was Sam Smith doing an interview. I can't remember who he was doing it with, but it's about 30 minutes long, and I think it was just before this latest album's come out. And he kind of, well, they go into like the history of what they were doing before, what they're doing now, and where they're kind of going with it. So if you are a Sam Smith fan, I highly recommend you watch it. It's on Apple.
Yeah.
It's on Apple Music. I'll just look it up on my phone now whilst Freda talks to you.
It's really interesting though, because how invested are we in artists now? Like when I was young and I went and bought CDs, I was really investing a lot of my money and little money that I had in a cultural moment. Like an album came out, it was like a big deal, and you listen to every track. And I'm going to get my Zimmer out in a minute and go, I remember when it was Old Fields. But
So,
what I'm saying is, now are young people as invested in music, or is it just all about TikTok and
I
whatever
don't
and
know.
the next thing?
I don't know.
Because Sam
I
Smith
mean, you
is
don't
not
buy
the most.
music these days. You buy subscriptions to music services, don't you? So it's
Yeah,
like,
but
yeah, it's a
yeah,
bit
but
different.
I remember, the reason I'm saying this is because I went to a concert with my sister, a Taylor Swift concert, and I was thinking, oh, this is going to be so boring and rubbish. I'm just going. It was absolutely amazing. It's like being in that arena with so many people that are absolutely obsessed with something. It's the
Has an
energy
energy,
is.
doesn't it?
I was actually nervous with the energy that I'm not. I was trying to be all cool and whatever, but the energy in that room for Taylor Swift, it's like Slipknot don't get that. You know what I mean? No metal band I've ever seen got that. So I love that. I love. This is why I was thinking about getting Madonna tickets.
Have you seen the
It's
price of
not,
those things?
yeah, but I think there is. I like that madness of crowds. I like that
I mean,
craziness of
if they weren't like 400 quid, 400
yeah.
quid, I'd definitely get one.
So like when the
We should do a
podcast gets
crowd.
bigger,
We should do
Vicky,
a
and when
fundraiser, shouldn't
when
we?
we have like we have loads of fans, we're going to do it live, and we're
Yeah,
gonna.
don't hold your breath. So the interview I was on about was Sam Smith, the Zane Lowe interview. It's on Apple Music. If anybody wants to watch that, really good.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of some more controversial moments. Do you know what came to my mind, right? The Brit Awards. Did you ever see the time when Samantha Fox and Mick Fleetwood presented the Brit
I
Awards?
don't think I saw that.
This wasn't like a sexual thing or anything, don't worry. It was just a catastrophe. Because
So
Mick
what year was
Fleetwood's like
this?
I think it must have been like 92 or something, but Mick Fleetwood's like 7 foot and Sam Smith, Sam Fox. Don't get those two mixed up.
I was going to say,
Um,
which Sam are you
the
talking about?
the lesbian with the big tits. No, I don't mean Sam Smith. I mean Sam Fox. Okay. Yes, but Sam Fox is like 5 foot nothing. So they were. Oh, anyway.
Yeah.
This is not. This is not. This is
Sam
a
Smith is
visual.
6'2", by the way.
6'2".
Mm.
How big's his Willie? I'm not bothered.
Wallace.
He's 6 foot 9 inches.
That's
I'm
a
only
red
bothered
card.
about the 9
Red card for
inches.
Freda.
Oh my God. Sorry.
Problem with these lives,
you
I
know
can't do
what?
the edits. I can't do a line of edits.
We're gonna get booted off YouTube. If
You are. Yeah.
Well,
They're just going to boot
hey,
that
you don't
half
get
off.
this with Katie Montgomery. So yeah, I'm just looking at the chat. The dark that
Yeah.
Roger is talking
We're
about
just talking about
being
a
the
gig you went to
darkness.
see, Manchester Darkness in 2006.
Yeah, the darkness are a
I've never
kind
seen the
of.
Darkness. Who are the Darkness? Tell me about the Darkness.
The guys. It's like a sort of. He's got a really high voice. What was that famous song they did? I was a little thing called love. Da, 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 da. Come on, I'm making a tit of myself now. What's it called? Come on, Roger.
Come on,
help
Roger.
us.
Help us out here.
They were massive in like 2007 or
Darkness,
something.
yeah. I'm not
Hey,
aware
you
of
don't
these
get this.
things.
You don't. Anyway, so what's it gonna take, right, for Ed Sheeran to do a video
Well,
where
I
he
think
gets
Ed Sheeran is going to be doing one with Sam Smith's very soon.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
They are doing some project. They talk
got
about that in that interview I was just talking about.
so they're gonna have sex live on. Some
Probably
gold.
not.
No, they're
Probably
gonna
not.
be rubbing semen in each other's faces. It's gonna be beautiful. I love it. Oh my God, little Ed Sheeran don't know what's coming. But you know what? I think Ed Sheeran is definitely a dark horse. I think.
Do you think?
If well,
Let's not
he's
speculate.
people that try and be too squeaky clean always make me think, oh,
There's something going on there.
yeah, you're a bit mucky, aren't you, behind the scenes? Do you know, like these especially pop princesses that are a bit too squeaky clean?
They might just be
And
trying
I'm
to make a
like,
load of money with a song with Sam Smith.
Maybe.
That's like probably more likely.
Well, well, that's a good question, actually. Who do we think is secretly a deviant? Like,
Freda Wallace. I heard she's a deviant.
that's not a secret. What's Victoria's secret?
I can't tell you. It's a secret.
So yeah, I think George Ezra. I think he's secretly into S&M.
Possibly.
Anybody? You see, let's not get in trouble by talking about famous people in a pejorative way.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking about there are some people that would be when they do this sex tape thing, like, oh, you've been exposed now. It's like there are some people that can't happen to because
Have you done one yet?
well, it's still a secret.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
my sex tape. Have you been looking at my OnlyFans again, Vicky?
Roger says he's shocked. He thought you were a nun.
Well, I did go to Catholic school, but I didn't make the grade.
Didn't make it. No.
No, 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 no.
Sorry, what were you
So
saying?
yes, so some pop people can't be shamed, can they? They can't be outed because they're already owning it. So, but there are people that say try and have a squeaky clean image, and then probably could have something done to like. Because I was thinking about this, like
Well,
the
I
way
mean,
we
do pop stars do this to make money, or is it the other way around? Are they they start off trying to make money, and then they kind of grow into themselves, and they kind of realize that they can be themselves because now they've got some fame, and maybe they can just relax a bit and do what they want. And I think they
yeah,
become more famous when they do that. I think they have more success once they've
eventually.
actually become more authentic. And
Well, that's what I was
I think
going to
that's really
say.
what Sam Smith is going through at the moment.
Yeah, well, that kind of all expose, oh, you've been found doing this. It's all fake, really, isn't it? It's like George
Well, you don't. I mean, you
Michael
don't really
when
know. It's like how are they playing? How are they playing that kind of news in the media? And then what's the reality of what somebody like Sam Smith, what
mm,
they're going through in their own personal lives?
mm,
Because I think I get the feeling that Sam Smith was really not in a happy place because they disappeared for a while, didn't they? They were kind of not around for a
yeah.
bit, and then they came back
Well, we can't. I
in
mean,
this
we
kind of
yeah,
new form when they came out. So it was
yeah.
like
Well,
kind of getting over that part of their
mm,
career, which was kind of suppressed a little bit.
well,
And now they're
like
just going to go from strength to strength. I mean,
mm,
you're going to see Sam Smith kind of become even more of a diva or a star now. I think this is really a huge launching
mm,
point for them
I think it is, but
if he
there's
can
going to
actually get
be
any
like
more famous.
if you are somebody that's that famous that's like people talk about you even though they don't actually understand your music, like it's not even about that anymore. It's about you being an icon. Then eventually they tend to be the people that end up doing American jazz standards and playing the end of the pier at Blackpool. Do you know what I mean? Like there's only so many times you can get weed on.
That's not going to be Sam Smith's future.
You never know. He's going to be playing the local
They're going to become a diva superstar.
conservative club. You never know what's going to happen. But I say, like,
Has Sam
where
Smith
I was,
ever done any music with Madonna?
we should do. I
Should do.
think she's
That's
probably
probably
got.
going. It's
Well,
probably going to happen now.
Madonna's one of those cultural vampires that's probably got her eye on him. She's be like, "Oh, I can see what you're doing. I want a bit
Yeah,
of that." But
yeah.
that's what Madonna does. She,
I mean,
she's
she has
like,
her
she
own
gets a
label
little.
anyway, doesn't she? So,
It's like a vampire, isn't she? But
what about Elton John and Sam Smith? Have they done anything yet?
Elton John. I mean, Elton
No, but Elton
John's
John has made a career recently out of doing tracks here and there with these younger stars, hasn't he? So
Rocket Man. Imagine not
he's done
knowing
a
the
few
word
with Dua Lipa.
astronaut.
He's yeah
Do
he's done
well.
some with
Do you know? Oh,
yeah. So Sam Smith's
oh,
next. That's my prediction.
I will say something about Dua Lipa. Is she's the only one I know whose career has got progressively more bland as she's gone on. She's got
I
like
quite
she
like Dua
started.
Lipa.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But when she did
Are you
that
saying
new
I'm
rule,
bland?
I'm saying I like new rules, I like that one kiss. One kiss is all it
Yeah.
takes. I love that, but she's got really bland recently. Anyway, that's a different. But where I was going before,
Hmm.
when I was talking about shaming and stuff like that, it's because bring it down to our kind of level, right? Like we're not famous. Most people we know are going to be famous, but I was thinking about this in terms of that trans experience because I've I've made the mistake sometimes of playing into the hands of transphobes. And what they do is they try to shame you. And the way they do that is they try and find photos of you. They'll find pre-transition photos of you. They'll find pictures of you where you don't look your best, like pretty much all my pictures that are not the ones that I put online. But you know what I mean? They'll try and find an instance where you look your worst. And we're not even famous. We're not even like people that should be
Not even close.
given a toss about. but the same energy is at work, the same misogyny, the same kind of bullying, pettiness is at work where say, ha ha, you're not what you say you are. Ha ha ha. It's like that. What's that character in The Simpsons that just goes, ha ha? Well, it's like that. And I'm thinking, oh my God. So, right, when I got threatened, when somebody says, look, I've got pictures of you, I was like, well, so what? What are
Well,
you
who's
going to
doing
do with
this?
them?
Who's doing this online to you?
I
Is this going
can't,
on
no,
Twitter?
I
You don't have
can't say
to
that.
don't have to name names, but is this a
No, but
recent thing because of some of the appearances you've been doing?
well, yeah, when I was on GB News and other things, people looked at my old Facebook
So you go
profiles
on
and stuff. And
something like GB News or LBC, and then the gender crits
yeah, but
out there go hunting for
yeah,
something to shame
and
you with.
I'd made the stupid mistake of keeping stuff on my dating profile,
Mm.
which is pretty much, Grinder and stuff like that or whatever. I've done it, but I didn't even think somebody would do that. You know what I mean? Because who am I? Who am I to, I'm not anyone to anybody who's of any interest. But to them,
Well, they're just trying to
it's
find
a,
material to attack you with, aren't they? I mean, that's what they do.
so when they do that to celeb, like the new, we live in a culture that rewards that behavior
Mm.
because the whole thrust of the tabloid media is to do that to celebrities. Now, some people might say, oh, well, if they're going out there, they're asking for it. If they're putting the image out there, but they're not. They're really not. They're not asking for somebody to stand at the bottom of the garden gate and take a photo of them in the dressing gown when they're bringing the milk in, or whatever it is, or they've got a picture of themselves in a bikini when they look like, 10 pound of shit in a £5 bag. They don't want to see that on the front page of the Daily Mail. But people like Piers Morgan and those that I'm going to get angry now, but that's what they do, and it's exactly the same energy at work that tries to shame trans people. Now, trans people are getting it, and they're not even famous, but it's the same energy. It's the same negative, nasty. I'm going to
I
get
don't
you.
know. I do not know any trans person in my circle of friends who's not been abused like this. I
Yeah,
can't think of any who've not
I,
had
I,
some kind of pile-on, some kind of attack in
I've had a couple of,
places like Mumsnet,
yeah,
etc., etc. Every single one of them has had to deal with something.
yeah. Well, I know it happened to you, Vicky.
It
I know
happened
it
to me.
happened
Yeah.
to you because you were involved. Yeah, and I've been involved in the police investigation. Not because, I mean, that is not really something I can divulge on a live stream. But what I'm saying is, when people threaten you and try and get your workplace involved, that's when if it's just me, right, I'll deal with it, right? I don't,
Yeah.
I
Well, I
don't
mean, there
consider
was a
that
story about me in the national press. It was picked up by all the little newspapers, and it was kind of in pretty much every single major UK newspaper, mainly the online versions. But I had like Christian organisations coming after me, misgendering me, trying to find pictures of me. I had various journalists trying to get hold of me through email, phone calls. It was a proper attack.
Yeah, it's nasty,
It's
and
nasty. It's very nasty.
I'm just looking in the chat now. Other people have
Yeah.
had this. I mean, I mean, you don't have to share your experiences, but I really do appreciate it if you do, because, like, I've had a couple of chats with quite prominent trans people in the media, like India Willoughby, and the stuff that I mean. Uh, India is quite a famous person, to be honest. So she, this is not me saying she deserves it, but what I'm saying is she's
But she's going
more,
to get a lot of abuse for being famous. Yeah.
but she leans into it as well because she likes to be controversial, does
By the
our
way, she's going to be
India.
on Question Time tonight if you want to watch it.
Well, because did you see that status she puts up about? She said, "I'm more of a woman than you," aimed
Yeah.
at the
Aimed at
woman,
the wizard lady.
the wizard lady. We don't
We
say
don't say the actual
JK.
name of the person
But
anymore.
yeah, I know because that's the kind of crap that I would pull if I was in India. Because I know there's a part of me that is reckless, right? And that is why I
Really?
should
I hadn't
never.
noticed.
I've got this.
Where
Honestly,
did that
I'd be
come from?
like, if I knew I could, if I knew I could push that person's button, I would press that button. And it's not because I'm cruel. It's because I know it's a trap that I can set, and that is what happened there.
Hmm.
And now, obviously, all the little attack dogs and the little GCs are going, look at the state. She's never going to be a real woman. It's like, give it a rest, you absolute bores.
So if you become a
But
famous pop star, I mean, you've already, yeah, I know it's highly unlikely, but you know, stranger
when
things
my
have
sex
happened.
tape comes,
So if you do become a famous pop star, I mean, how are you going to handle the abuse like Sam does?
I'll just,
What are you going to
I'll
do,
just
Freda?
make a video. I'll make a video about it. What you know what I have fantasized about being as famous as somebody like Madonna, and I think I would have got myself arrested by within about 10 minutes. I don't know. I'm just a I'm kind of so angsty and unbalanced. I don't know.
Glad you said
It's
that and
not.
not me.
No, I honestly, I take so many mood stabilizers but no, I don't really. What I'm joking about really is that idea that I wouldn't trust my brain and my mouth are not
They're not
allies.
connected, are they?
They're not
They're totally
allies, no.
independent things. Yeah.
Well, it makes me funny, I think. But you see, I did what I actually have you heard of the comedian Jen Ives?
I have indeed.
Yeah, yeah. Well, she does these really funny skits and stuff. And the thing is, people don't get it because they don't get that she's actually sending herself up, because a lot of trans people, they're a bit precious about how they feel about themselves. Obviously, that comes from trauma, but when you see somebody making a tit of themselves for a laugh, they don't get it. So that's that bit. But I lean into that quite a lot. I mean, I'm not a comedian, but I
You're
don't know.
working on it.
I don't know. Should we ask Sarah?
Yeah, I've not seen Sarah. How is she?
I
Oh, there she is. You've got the same glasses. Did you know that?
Well, she said that
Like twins.
she's very much looking forward to the Sam Smith and Ed Sheeran video. That's
I'm
how
sure there's a
mental
part in there for Sarah.
that's how mental I am. I talk to stuffed animals.
Well, you could argue that you get a better kind of conversation from stuffed animals.
I think the chat's dried. I think the chat's dried up. Oh gosh, should we try and be a bit more entertaining, Victoria? Come on, we have to get your tits out. Do
You
it
want to
right
you want to
now.
do you're going to do a Kim Petras number for us.
Yeah, come on. You've got to do it to get the numbers up. Come on, get this. I think we burnt ourselves out.
I think you burnt me out.
So yeah, another point about controversy and sexuality is Prince. Think
Oh yeah,
about
Prince. Yeah.
when Prince had a song. Prince did a song in 1993 called "Sexy Mother F," and it didn't even like if that had come out now. Do you think? I don't know. It's like does the time and framing
I
of
think
everything
most of
make
this
it
stuff,
seem more
most of this
intense?
stuff that these artists do, it goes through a kind of a bit of a, okay, that's a bit X-rated. It has to be, censored. I mean, I think most of the stuff is like X-rated or whatever. It's explicit and it gets that rating on various platforms. But when somebody like Sam Smith does it, it has an extra kind of level of hatred targeted towards it because, Sam Smith is non-binary. I mean, that plays into the whole hatred situation a lot. It shouldn't, but
at one point,
it does.
Prince was just a symbol. Do you remember when Prince had that? He went through that controversy with his record label.
Yeah.
And he wrote a
artist
symbol on
formerly
his face. He said, "I'm not an artist. I'm not a prince anymore." And it was like it was part of his act. You see, that was it. But the thing with Prince, he was always pretentious and owned that pretension. I think that was a difference. Because if you are somebody like that who is just people just know he's amazingly talented. That can be never be taken away from him. Prince was an amazing songwriter, producer, and all that. So whatever he did was ephemeral around that. So he could have done anything. I remember he did an interview once on Channel 4, and he said, "I'll do the interview as long as you can't hear me and you can't see me." So the interviewers are ever going to do that? So he wore a mask and he got his girlfriend at the time to interpret,
I've
to
not
whisper
seen that.
into
I want to see that.
he whispered into her ear, and she told the presenter what he'd said. So he
Wow.
was wearing a mask and he didn't speak. And
I've not seen that. I need to look that up.
that's a piece of art performance genius if ever there
It is.
was one. Do you know what I mean? So hats off to Prince. I'll find that video
Yeah, I need to
if
look
it
at that
exists,
video.
if I didn't imagine it. But
So Victoria
uh,
Elizabeth has put a statement there.
I've gone out of
Willoughby
focus.
is a real woman and has done and finished her transition, but the nasties pick on those who are still transitioning and are therefore far more vulnerable as a result. Yeah,
That's true.
very true.
Yeah. I mean, going back to Prince, he actually did a song called Controversy, didn't he? So he always wanted controversy. He did, I think he wrote that song when he wasn't very famous. So. So who
I
else
think
is it? Come on,
Victoria
we
is
need to
saying
think. Is it
Prince was like Sooty.
Sooty? Sooty and
Sooty
you
and
know,
Sweet, yeah.
uh,
That's what Sooty
mm,
used to do.
wait, this has just reminded me of something actually, because if you look at those
Slutty and
children's
Sweet.
programs, that's me and you. I don't know who's who, but
I do.
um, if you look at those BBC TV things, they had a lot of queerness. I wouldn't say queerness. I'd say not non-specific genderness.
Mm.
Like if you look at Rainbow,
Yeah.
and you've got Bungle and George. He's definitely camp, isn't it? You know what I mean?
George
Is
was
that
probably
controversial
non-binary.
though?
I
Is
think
that
George was non-binary.
is yeah, and obviously. So who else pop star wise? I mean, it's not just pop stars. I'm
It's
thinking
not
about
just pop
actors
stars.
now.
I'm trying
Like
to think
what
of like non-pop star who kind of suffer from the same thing.
actors?
Yeah.
The only controversial actor that comes to mind straight away was Charlie Sheen. When he had a bit of a meltdown a few years ago when he was interviewed and he said he was bipolar, and he was talking about his drug use, and he was diagnosed with HIV. I mean, that's a serious, heavy subject that I shouldn't really be laughing about, but he was laughing about it and making kind of light of it, and that felt but that felt really uncomfortable to watch. That was something that, like, we're talking about people that embraced the controversy. In that situation, it felt like you were looking at somebody having a vulnerable meltdown. Do you remember that?
Sorry, I'm just distracted. I was just reading um,
Tiger
some of the
blood, yeah.
comments here. It's amusing. Um, Victoria's saying like Sooty, I mean, for whispering in his helper's ear. Yep.
Oh, me, yeah.
And then Plankton. Yeah, but whose hand is always up your asses? Oh dear. Yes. I see. It's
Well,
weird because
um,
we've got the chat on the screen, and if anybody puts anything a bit dodgy over there, it shows here anyway. So it asks me if I want to allow it or not. So there's no point in not
all
allowing them
right.
because they're
Well,
going there automatically.
yeah.
But we're okay.
So if
It's
anybody
okay.
can think of any, we've sort of run out of famous people to
How can you
mock.
run out of famous people? But yeah, I know what you mean.
We're not mocking them. I was thinking about British kind of. celebrities, people that have been in Big Brother and people that have been in Love Island, and they've had some horrible experiences, haven't they? Some of those people, because they kind of get chewed up and spat out, and that's probably why I don't remember a lot of the names. And
Well, I mean, do you think
are
this is
they
worse in Britain?
controversial?
Do you think this kind of treatment is worse in Britain than it is in somewhere like the States?
No, no, they have the
You know,
same
because
sort of
we have the
TV.
gutter press, don't we? I think
Well,
if the,
we imported reality TV from
well,
America,
we
didn't
did,
we?
but when it comes to the UK media, newspaper media, I don't think there's any country with a worse newspaper media than ours.
Oh yeah, it's definitely more vicious. I think in America they do have a tabloid press, but it's more accepted that it's comedy. It's not like you wouldn't get like, for example, Boris Johnson doing a column for the
No,
National Enquirer, whereas you would get that in the Sun with
I
which is
don't think
also
they have an
paid,
equivalent of the Sun or the Daily Mail over there.
well, you could. I mean, recently, yeah, because there are some like very right leaning, and then you get into online publications now that do, but there are these kind of parody ones like Babylon Bee, and they sort of a very veiled. They say they're comedy, but what they actually are is a right wing propaganda machine that plays into that sort of libs of TikTok thing.
Mm.
Um, I'm not sure where I was going with that thought process. I was gonna say that British kind of celebrities tend to have a shorter lifespan, don't they? Like Jay Goody and people like that. And I was trying to think. There was one guy that went through that whole kind of. Oh, never mind. I can't remember his name now. But, yeah, the British press are pretty vicious, but
They are.
um, there are some celebrities that the British public just embrace, don't they? Like they just see them as national
National
treasures.
treasures.
And I think, like, I was thinking about Miriam
Oh yeah, one of
Margolyes,
my favourites.
and the reason people like Miriam
It's
Margolyes is because
because
she's just,
she speaks her mind.
but she's
She's
old
not always
enough
right,
now to
but
get away with it.
she does speak her mind. Absolutely.
Yeah, she's been a bit. She did apologize for her comments
I think
about.
she's made one or two. Yeah.
Yeah, she did say something about trans people, but it was very vague. I think what happens sometimes though with that is that journalists have a checklist of
I
questions
think she
that are
was. I
controversial.
think the incident you were talking about, she was kind of trapped into saying something which probably wasn't what she really meant.
Yeah. Because if you're asked about something as a leading question about a
Yeah,
net
leading
like a
question.
sort of a group of people that like, so what do you think about this? I mean, if somebody
It's
asked me about a group of people that I didn't really understand, I go, yeah, whatever. I don't get it, whatever. Let live and let live. But um I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, Vicky. I've just come to the end of my mind.
that's. We've actually
I've just,
found the end to your mind. This is a.
it's all come out.
This
It's
is
all,
all come out in one big regurgitated mess. Yeah. Well.
yeah. But
Well, believe it or not, we've been going for an hour.
oh wow. I mean, it's been nice chatting and
Yeah. So what
stuff.
else? What have we got coming up?
I hope
We
we've
did
been
a really good
illuminating.
podcast yesterday with Paul
Oh,
Bloomer, didn't we?
we did a very serious
It's a
podcast
serious one. It was
with
about
Paul
Paul Bloomer,
Bloomer,
who's a serving police officer in Northern Ireland. So that's going to be coming out
and he's been really,
next week sometime when
really
I've had a chance to edit.
useful and really helpful. If anybody is, suffering and needs to, talk about hate crimes and things like that, he's got some really good resources. Uh, it's actually helped me a lot talking to Paul, and
But it was a
I
really
just and it.
interesting insight into, what's going
Mm,
on within,
mm,
some of the
mm.
police service
But
circles.
it goes, it goes back to what I was saying before about, people trying to shame us
Mm.
and use information against us and weaponize our online existence really, because like people pull pictures out of. So it's like is that a crime? We talk about whether it's a serious thing because some people play it down and say, oh, you should just get over it. It's not a crime. It's hate crimes are not crimes and all this kind of thing. So we sort of talked about why they actually are, because it's not about, for some people, it might not matter, but if it does affect that person in a very negative,
Yeah.
life-changing way, then yeah, that matters. So, and
Yeah.
so that was we had a really
That's
good time.
coming out. That's going to come out next week when I've had a chance to
Oh,
edit, and then
and
we've got the normal Sunday podcast on the news of the week. There's a
we're gonna
lot
do
of
the news
articles last
rundown.
week, and I think there's another load this week. There seems to be a lot of stuff going on at the moment. So yeah, that'll be coming out
So I'm
Sunday,
gonna
I
say,
think.
we really appreciate you retweeting us
Thank you.
and sharing our videos. And if you like what we do, please subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Can we sing it together this time?
No.
If I count down, Vicky, can we do it?
Hang on.
Please.
There you go.
Are you ready?
Put us back to full size.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Go on.
You're gonna sing it.
Count us in.
1, 2, 3. Don't forget to subscribe. You did it wrong again.
You do it wrong every time.
1, 2, 3. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, that was much better.
I did it.
That was much better.
I'm a fucking idiot now.
Yeah. Anyway.
Please shoot me.
Yes. Don't tempt me. So I shall sign us off there. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Please like. Please come back again and listen to our nonsense once more. We will see you.
Nonsense once more.
Nonsense one more. We will see you very soon. Chatty bye. For
Nonsense
now.
once more. Nonsense once more.